Good afternoon and welcome again to the CEM Africa Summit 2017. It's the second day here, the afternoon session, and we've got a couple more interviews today. And today I have Barry Coltham, Managing Director of Achievement Awards Group. Barry, welcome to the CEM Summit 2017. What has your experience been thus far, the second day of this journey?
Thank you, Nidio. Well, the experience was really great. We sponsored last year, and we decided it was a good experience for us, so we've come back again. I think CX has become a driving force in all businesses all around the world. We cannot ignore the fact that if we don't satisfy the customers and give them a really great experience, we're going to be losing. And the technology that has been shared, the people that are sharing the insights, it's been generous in terms of information sharing, and yes, it's been good. So, Nelio, thank you.
Very amazing to have your organisation here today. In terms of the sense of the entire conference thus far and the summit thus far, what differences has technology made to how emotional engagement with customers? There's a lot of talk around how emotion is to be substantially considered in terms of the customer interaction. What is your perspective on that?
Nelia, thank you. That's a really interesting question, because we've spent many years doing what we would call process maps, and the modern language has become journey mapping. And so the journey mapping has now transformed into empathy mapping as well. And that's touching into what the customers are feeling, and also such an example of what difference did the technology make for us is in 2012 we conducted a very interesting experiment. We came across something called HeartMath, and it's teaching a technique of controlling stress levels. And we subdivided our contact center in half, and with the experiment group, and then a test and a control group. And so we found that when we taught them these simple breathing techniques and also feedback mechanisms, we got real great improvement from the point of view of service levels. So the operating parameters were good, the absenteeism decreased, and also we were able to teach these young folk who are manning the contact center, sometimes with rather difficult calls, to really identify and deal with the clients effectively, and also teaching them techniques of how do you prepare for the next call. Once you finish a call, how do you shift away from whatever you went through? How do you finish off your call, and how do you prepare yourself for the next call? So, and the technology there, it works on feedback mechanism, because what happens is, we've been traditionally measuring, we're all about results, and we've been looking for behavior. What is the behavior that drives the results? And we still classify ourselves as a behavior change company. But what happens is, what drives behavior? What drives behavior is how people think. And then, so what is driving what people think is how they feel, but what's driving what they feel is what the emotions are. And what's driving the emotions is their physiological response. And so this HeartMath technology, which we've embraced fully in the organization, has really helped us get to grips with how do we feel when we handle the call, if it's a contact center person, or how do we feel when we are dealing with an issue or doing some work or other, because the person on the other side, the customer, is also feeling some kind of tension, some kind of stress, and how do we deal with that and play our best game every day? How do we step up to the plate and make the correct offering? So if we are prepared on our side to have the right empathy and understand where that client is, and we allow our physiological responses to be calm, we will be calm, and we will give a really good, coherent response to that client. And that's it's been interesting to embrace this technology. It's biofeedback. It really has been a difference in terms of understanding that emotions are real and emotions are part of customers, and they really are part of us when in the employee space. So that was one real big chunk of technology which we're very excited to embrace. In fact, we get our contact center staff to play games, and the games are based on their biofeedback. And so anyway, so that hopefully that's a good example. So
That is an amazing example, actually, which leads into the next question, which is typically, the millennial question around, the millennials are using various channels or new channels to actually engage with. You probably have the same in your contact centres where, there are a lot of potentially employed millennials working in there. What is your take on, the engagement at the millennial level?
engagement at a millennial level is really interesting, and we've seen ourselves as a behavior change company. And what we've realized now is in order to be relevant in 2022, over the next 5 years, is we have to fully embrace technology. Now, we've embraced technology in the past, and the technology has been big Oracle databases, big systems, big interaction, but it's moved. It's moved into the millennial world, which is the smartphone or the digital device, which needs quick, snappy communication. It needs reassurance. So we are starting to transpose, and have done a lot of transposing of our business into the platform business. And the platform needs to be scalable, because you're going to have it's not only the millennials that you need to work with in your workplace. You've got the old traditionalists who are going to stay on the laptop or the desktop, but your solutions and the interaction, and the millennials love communication, and they love relevant communication at the right time. And so what you have to do is have scalable technology that is going to work on the computer, the laptop, the desktop, right down to the device that you hold in your hand. And a lot of places really just want to work with applications. So that I think is the big way to work with millennials is play in their game. Bear in mind that they grew up with this technology. We might not have, but they grew up with it.
And that's going to be the key consideration, is embracing new channels to ensure that the ongoing relevance of the communication is relevant not only for now the millennials, but now this X generation that's arriving, that has got more disposable income, that is approaching the market with some substantial interest in what's going on, which kind of like leads me to the next question, which is traditionally, and you mentioned that earlier on, which is we still potentially in our age would traditionally resort to and need to embrace the existing historical, which leads to the next question in terms of organizations still in a very, very siloed perspective in terms of the various departments or chambers within their organization. How do you see siloed structures changing to enable a more customer-centric engagement?
It's a question that we've been trying to embrace, and we in fact restructured our organization around that, and we restructured it around, picture the Parthenon in Greece, and the apex is where we are aiming for. The apex is the customer. The customer needs to be at the top of all of your decision making, and the customer needs to drive what is happening within the organization. Where do you put your capital? Where do you put your energy? Where do you put your discretionary time and effort? So if your line of business, which could be deemed to be a little bit siloed, but if the line of business is customer centric, then the decision making that you're making will be driven to making the right decision and putting the right resources into the right places. And also there is a need, particularly in every business, to understand that it's a handing over of the baton between departments. And it's the same race that we run, provided that we are serving the customer and all understand that a decision or the decision to spend money or to develop anything is driven because it is satisfying this customer's need. That way, then when everybody gets that, then the siloed mentality starts to diminish its power. Okay.
And that's incredible, because that leads me on to the next one, which is really, in your view, what is the correct way, or maybe correct is not the right word, but what would the best way be to measure customer experience?
I think once again this is sometimes a trick question, and inevitably somebody's going to say, are you a Net Promoter Score person or not? I think that you have to be holistic in when you measure the customer, and I don't believe that just one question is enough. I believe that the Net Promoter Score is a very good question that we need to ask, and would you recommend this to friends or family? But we also need to be holistic about what measures we are taking in place. And the measures need to be around what is the customer's expectation. Are we delivering on that expectation? And when if we project to the media or via the media in our marketing message to a customer a certain aspect of our product or our service, then are we completely aligning that measure is that marketing message is not overstated? If the message is overstated, then we are setting for ourselves a hurdle to overcome. Customers will come to us with their personal needs and wants, and we need to make sure that our measures are around that, and then that their satisfaction levels are going to be satisfying what their personal needs are and their personal requirements are being met, and that we're not over-promising on something that we can't deliver. So I would say that be as holistic as you can with customer measures. Work towards their expectations. Would they recommend you? It's a vital question that you need to put in. Would they come back? You know, a real good question is to ask, if you're going to ask your customer, how am I doing? And there's various ways to ask, how am I doing? But another way of saying is, so, okay, that's great, how am I doing? So then ask the question, so how can I do better? And that way you're going to get a holistic view of whatever it is that you're trying to serve the customer with to meet their requirements and needs.
Barry, thank you for that, and that's one of the key components in terms of the continued engagement with the customer. Again, thank you very much for the interview and the opportunity for the ANFARM to interview you. We are at the CEM 2017. We look forward to seeing you next year. I'm going to hand you the microphone for a closing statement from your side.
Well, Nilio, thank you very much. This has been an education for me. I didn't realize that we had all these different handles and hashtags and Twitter handles and things in our company. It's great to see them all being put forward to us. The hash Make Business Human, CXEXOX, Business Whisperers, and the awards.coza. So thanks, Nilio. It's been a good experience, and I hope that it's been as good for you as it is for me. Okay.
Barry, thanks again. A huge amount of energy. Thanks for sharing your time and your moments and journeys with us. We'll be back very, very shortly with a follow-up interview live from the CEM Summit 2017.